Sterile clean white for a sterile clean room. My eyes open and I simply stare at the ceiling for a time. It's about as interesting as the television would be, mounted in its metal rack hanging off the ceiling ahead of the bed. Indeed, I hear something. The television saw its entire use during the time my parents were here, left on quietly as they waited for me to wake. It's about as banal as it had been the first time I'd ended up in the hospital. Earlier today, an attending nurse had offered to turn off the EKG speakers. I refused simply because the sound is so entirely normal to me now. It's almost comforting in a way. The metronome-like regularity gives at least some feeling that time is moving, even in a place such as this. After some time of listening to its beeping while I fully awaken, though, I realize there's another sound in the room. Concentrating all my efforts on listening, a task made rather easy by the lack of distractions, a tiny, teeny melody can be heard. Light and quiet, the music sounds almost fragile as it's dwarfed by the EKG's pulses. Tilting my head just slightly to the side in an effort to see the source of the melody without dislodging any of the sensors and pipes stuck onto me, I noticed a little wooden box sitting on the nightstand next to the bed. That was with Lilly! Did she come visit us? Did she stay? My mouth opens just slightly while I silently watch the tiny yellow metal drum slowly rotate inside, the little bumps on its surface gradually moving in and out of sight. This music box, it's the one I gave. The creaking of the door breaks me out of my reverie, my hand and heart remaining still as my eyes turn to see who comes through. Long tan skirt, peach off the shoulder sweater, pale almost porcelain skin, blue clouded eyes, and long yellow hair. All I can do is stare as Lily slowly walks into the room, her fingers lightly running over the wall for orientation, and my mind comes to a shuddering halt. Lily? She stops mid-stride, her entire body tensing. Isao, is that you? Her voice is quiet and pensive, echoing her expression. I thought you were... Lily takes one tentative step forward, then another, as if she were holding herself back. Her control over her composure is for naught, though, and she finally rushes over to where I lay as the last of her resistance falls. I'm slightly taken aback when she grabs a hold of me, hunching over as tears begin to fall from her cheeks. Silence, since only minutes ago I thought she was on the other side of the world. After a moment of hesitation, I rest my right hand on her soft shoulder. Isao. Lily's body trembles as her tears blot the pale green sheets, her emotions flooding through her carefully maintained exterior. With her face now closer, and made easier to see for the pale skin being lit by the sunlight from the window, I notice her cheeks being redder than they should be. It's okay, Lily. I'm okay. You don't need to. She rights herself quickly, her crying forcefully stifled with both sadness and stubbornness remaining in her moistened eyes. Her prideful nature, always having been something to contend with, takes me off guard. Stop telling me you're not to worry about you, Hisao. Just this once, let me cry. I'm caught speechless. She waits for a response, but her composure breaks again after a handful of seconds. I swallow hard to try and settle my own emotions while she weeps onto my bed, a strange mixture of relief and depression welling up. Lily's here. She's really here. If I couldn't feel her skin under my hand, I'd hardly believe my own eyes. My efforts weren't for nothing. My body's attempt to take everything away that was important to me once again has been foiled. But now I don't feel as happy about it as I thought I would. Seeing her here crying like this over me, this is the one thing I'd wanted to avoid since coming to love her. No, ever since leaving the hospital. I'm sorry, Lily. It's my fault I'm here. I shouldn't have tried to push myself so far. I give a self-deprecating snort. After months of keeping myself together so nobody would worry over me, I went and did something like this. I guess I am pretty dumb. With a couple of sniffs and a long breath, Lily manages to pull herself together and calm down a little. Despite her red cheeks, moist eyes, and the lines of tears still visible, she delicately wears that weak smile she seems so often give. You needn't blame yourself. I heard later that it happened as you were running down the road after me, right? Still... She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand, returning more to her old self as the rush of emotions wears off. Why did you run after me, Hisao? I moved to respond, but noticed her face tightening. Even after I said goodbye and I'd left Yamaku Academy. She takes a moment to steady herself, her emotions almost bubbling up once again. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. Sorry? For the times when I wasn't there when you needed me. Until now I thought you were just being there would be enough. I only needed you by my side to make any day feel better. Even if my body may be like this, I want to help you, Lily. To be there when you need someone. But you always were there, Hisao. Why did you want to go to Scotland, Lily? Why? I told you before. Because Akira was going, and because of my family summons to their home. Why didn't you say that you wanted to go? I'm not stubborn often, but this one time I think I need to be. I want you to stay here, Lilly. I want you to stay where everyone you know lives, where all your dreams and ambitions were made. If you choose to say, I'll never leave your side. I won't let you lose another person. When I had my heart attack, I was snatched away from everyone and everywhere I knew. You showed me a new life after I came to Yamaku. I'd lost my past, but you showed me a future. It's true that I haven't always been there for you. I'm unreliable. Sometimes I lied, and I thought I'd come to understand you when I hadn't even understood myself. Be that as it may, I want to give you a future as well. I want to be there for you, to share both your burdens and your happiness, just like I promised back in Hokkaido. I want you to trust me. I know I had problems coming to put my trust in you after losing so many people I'd known after my heart attack, but that's how I know that being unable to trust others can feel awful. That's why I can't want you to just throw everything away like this. I never want you to go through what I did. I would do anything to stop that. You can be quite steadfast when you want to be, can't you? As I said, it isn't often. My weak smile drops, though, as the IV in my arm digs in a little. It's a harsh reminder of my tether to my condition. Lily's face tenses as I let out a small gasp of pain, immediately making me wish I'd stifled it better. All I can do is sigh in defeat. I tried to not let anyone worry over me for the entire time since I left the hospital, but I can't even stop the one person I love most from crying over me. Even if I might finally be able to put my feelings into words, I feel pretty useless with a body like this. Every time I try to reach towards something, it was just snatched away. Yet now, things turned out for the better due to luck. I guess that's something else I should apologize for. All I can ever do is make you worry. Even now, there's very little chance I'll live anywhere near a full life. The feeling of Lily's warm, soft hand moving over my left cheek makes me lift my head up. Her smile gentle and warm as she touches me. I think that is something very natural for you to say. You were always so sincere and self-conscious. You were always reserved and mild-mannered, and patient to a fault with Hanako, yet curious about everything and everyone. When I said I missed you while I was with my family, I wasn't lying or exaggerating. The thought of you was never far from my mind and helped me through that time. That's why I was so confused about what to do when my family summoned me. Even after I thought I had made my decision, you tried your hardest to challenge me about it. I didn't confess to you out of pity or believing you were somehow different from what you are. I confessed because I never wanted to lose you, what you want, and want you to always be a part of my life, no matter what might change. You're a very beautiful person, Hisao. Your heart changes none of that, so please don't apologize for yourself anymore. For a long time, silence reigns in the room. I'm not really sure what this newly born feeling inside of me is, but it pales into insignificance as I wordlessly gaze at Lily's smiling face, warm and gentle as it always has been. It's only her thumb, as her thumb crosses my cheek, wiping away a single drop of moisture, that I realize this is all I'd ever wanted. For what feels like the first time, I give an earnest, wide smile. As Lily feels it against her palm, she returns the gesture. More time passes before either of us says the word, neither of us needing speech to communicate our feelings to each other. I know I can't promise you that I'll always be around, or that we'll be together forever. With some difficulty, I slowly lift my hand, placing it on her pale shoulder. But I think I can at least take you to next year's Tenabata festival, to make up for making you miss this year's. Lily's expression is one of surprise, though I can't say I blame her. You remembered that? I've got a pretty good memory sometimes. She raises her head a little and takes her hand from my cheek, giving a small amused giggle. I smile absent-mindedly at how earnest it is, almost girlish in its lightness. Still smiling warmly, she collects herself and stands upright with the hand resting on my chest. It feels like I'm seeing her for the first time. The sun from the window glowing behind her, just as it did when I first walked into that room where she was drinking tea. Very well, then. Shall we make it a promise between the both of us to go to next year's Tenabata together? Even if she can't see me doing so, I nod approvingly. I promise. I promise. So it all ended out just fine in the end. She stayed behind while Akira went ahead. Ah, was that it? Yeah, we beaten the game. If you call it beating the game. I've just finished this part of the story. So we got the actual writers who did the writing. 5 different writers, probably one for each route. The music was definitely good in this game, so kudos to Blue123 Nico Arfmarfi for that. The art was phenomenal, especially for amateur work and everything, and not like professionally paid artists. Very definitely good, and the FMV animation was awesome. This looks like sketches and everything of early renditions of how Lilly would be looking. I like this. I like how it shows you all the production Okay, so that's how Lily was supposed to look, I guess, and then how she changed into what she's looking like now. I like the way she looks now, so I'm glad they did the revisions for her look. Four Leaf Studios, bravo. Good story between Lily and Hisao here. I definitely enjoyed that. So, what do we got? Is that it? Oh, what's this? Akira, Lily, and I silently sit on the grassy embankment high above the local town, the breeze gently blowing through the cloudless sky. We may be just a few minutes' walk from town, on a hill just outside its limits, but the view is entirely unexpected. Lily sits beside me, her eyes closed as the gentle breeze flows through her hair. This is a nice area. Yeah, I never knew a place like this was anywhere near Yamaku. And I had to be the one to find it, of course. Akira's grin is genuine, but her tone is slightly different from her usual carefree nature. It's good that you're out of the hospital, though, Hisao. Nobody's more glad than I am. I can't stand hospitals. So did Akira stay behind too, or did... I don't understand. I thought Akira already left, and then Lily stayed behind to visit me in the hospital. So did they cancel their plane trip? So you two going back to school tomorrow? Yep. Akira chuckles in amusement before looking back out to the town below, the trees between the buildings swaying in the wind. Pity we couldn't go up north for the summer holidays or get to Tanabata. I wouldn't worry. There's always next time. You'll be graduating before the next summer vacation, won't ya? Yeah, there'll still be college after that, mind. Going to the same one? Likely. We both have high enough scores to meet the entry requirements. You sound so sure. Don't worry, you're better than I in most subjects. I guess we'll work it out in due time. That's the way. Just enjoy yourselves in Yamaku while you're there. Lily gives a sad sigh at the distinction made between Akira and the two of us. Do you really need to go back to Scotland? Yeah, the folks are already out for my blood as it is. Yeah, because you probably canceled the plane trip, and now they're like, you will come now, or you bring shame on your family. You weren't meant to stay this long? She gives her trademark wide grin. She doesn't give a crap. Setting up my boyfriend up with a passport took some time. Oh, she's gonna bring him with it to Scotland. Oh, that's unexpected right there. That's funny. You're taking him with you? Just for a while at first. He's a surprisingly worldly guy, so I think he'll do just fine. Akira gives a amused snort. If our father had his way, I'd have gone a long while ago. I just couldn't pass up an excuse to stay with my favorite little sister a little while longer, though. She leans right and gives Lily a tight, playful hug, cheering her up considerably. It's nice to be with you one last time, though. For what it's worth, I'm in the same boat. Heh, thanks, you two. I'll try and come back sometime, don't worry. It's a shame that the business keeps you so busy. The place won't run itself, I'm afraid, and I think it's going to be just the same over there. Considering that, I'd better get going. Have fun over there, Akira. Haha, will do. With a slight grunt, she lifts herself with her hands and stands up, dusting herself off as she does so. Well, I better be off. The plane won't wait for me, after all. She has a certain unusual wistfulness in the tone of her voice, her eyes firmly planted on her sister. I'll be okay, Akira. Yeah, I know. Come now, it isn't that bad. You'll be able to see us again soon. It is strange to have Lily reassuring a doubting Akira for once. She really has changed. Goodbye, Akira. Bye. For a second, the dark clad figure looks down at the both of us, smiling widely, perhaps more widely than I've ever seen her do before. She lets out a long, slightly wavering breath to steady herself before leaving, but eventually slips her hand in her pocket and turns on her heel. And with that, she walks away, one hand held high in the air as she goes. See you later, you two. A jazz tune with no beat, melody, or direction to the very end. After a few moments of sitting silently, Lily and I pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off. Turning towards her with a broad smile, I hold out my hand. Shall we be off, then? She takes my hand in hers with a gentle nod and a smile as beautiful and warm as ever. Indeed we shall, Hisao. As we set off towards the school, that wonderful smile engraves itself onto my memory, that wonderful smile that we both share. Our past may be scattered and at times overshadowed by sadness, but they're also an irrevocable part of our lives and personalities. Even if I could change a single thing, I wouldn't, because my past was what led me here. That's why, even with all that's happened to us before, and all that may well befall us together, we'll keep walking forwards. Forwards towards the future. Our future. So there you go. That is the entire story of Lilly and Hisao in Katawa Shoujo. And we do have some extras here. We have the jukebox, which has all the songs that we came in contact with over the course of the game, which apparently is all of them. And then we have the gallery, which you can take a look at what you've unlocked. There's quite a lot that we have yet to unlock. Oop, we have some other scenes that I'm going to have to block out as I've gone through them. Then we have the library, which I'm not really sure what this is all about, but it looks like there is some extra spaces here. And it looks like Imi, Hanako, Rin, and Shizun's path is all grayed out. But I guess those are just the scenes we've read and gone through in the game over the course of this play series. Only completed 29% of this game, so there's still quite a lot. And then, of course, the videos. We've only unlocked 2. Lily's and then the beginning video at the start of the game. So yeah, there's quite a few things left to explore here, but for the sake of this play series, I'm going to cut it right there because I don't have time with life, real life, and other projects that I want to handle that I'm going to tackle Imi, Ren's, Shizun, or Hanako's routes. I know there's probably going to be some... I'm going to probably get some flack and like, no, please do the other routes, and I might in the future, but right now that's not planned for 2016. So for those who did watch this through to the end with me, I thank you, and I'll actually give my more personalized, more analytical thoughts on the whole game in the next coming moments. So see you in a bit for the analysis. Katawa Shoujo was a pleasantly delightful game from start to finish, and I'm surprised and thankful for it, because given its odd premise, it could have turned out really bad. I mean, if you were to translate the Japanese directly into, English, it basically means crippled girl, which is not a very good connotation. If you were to pitch this game, you would probably get a couple raised eyebrows, and if you were to further say it's a romance novel, and it's on Roge, and you get to have a selection of disabled girls that you have sex with, you get a couple dirty looks. Yeah, guaranteed. So thankfully, I'm actually pleasantly surprised and pleased to find out that the material was handled respectfully, maturely, and given a lot of weight on the relationship portion of, the interactions with Hisao and the other characters. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, there was sex in this game, but that wasn't the focus. In fact, the more focus was on Hisao and having to have him deal with his disability and his new life in Yamaku, and how to proceed onward from that, and basically the relationship that he forms with whichever girl he comes in contact with. In this case, I chose Lilly. How this relationship makes each person better as a result, how they help each other overcome, their insecurities, their fears, all sorts of, things that we deal with on a normal everyday basis, with or without the disabilities. So for that, I am very, very surprised and thankful that the game chose to have this go this route. Now, Act 1 starts off with Hisao getting the heart condition and thus becoming, I guess you would say, disabled himself and starting his new life in Yamaku. So in that sense, he's basically the window to the world. He is the lens. He is the stand-in for the player or the reader of this game into this foreign world of disability. And so basically, he is our voice. And as such, I've noticed that Act 1 has more choices than ever before. Acts 2, 3, 4, at least, in Lily's path, had very few choices. And Act 1 had a ton. And I think the reason for that is you're basically choosing your... I know this is going to sound terrible, but you're almost choosing the type of comfortability rating you have with each individual girl's disability. And let me explain that. You start off with Shizun with her deafness, and then you move on with Hanako with her burns, her body burns, and then Lilly with her blindness, and then you go a little further away from what most people would consider comfortable, and you get into the no legs with Imi and the no arms with Rin. And so basically, the Act 1 has all these choices, so you're basically kind of funneling, Hisao down a certain path, but you're also kind of funneling yourself, too, as the player, into what you feel would probably be most comfortable or more interesting to you to explore in terms of, disability. I know that sounds like a terrible way, but I think that's kind of how Act 1 is kind of set up, because then once at the end of Act 1, you're kind of funneled into just one girl's path, and that was as a result of your choices, not Hisao's, but yours as the player. And I don't know if you know it or not, but that might say something about you and how you feel about each girl's disabilities and how comfortable you are in addressing that type of topic. So think on that for a second. So it seems like each set of girls are grouped together. That's another thing I noticed, where Misha and Shizune are together, Lilly and Hanako are together, and Rin and Imi are together. So I'm assuming, since I went with Lilly, Hanako kind of took the forefront as the secondary character, and the other 4 girls kind of faded into the background. So I'm assuming that's kind of the same case with, Imi and Rin. If I were to choose one of those, the other girl would be kind of secondary, and then the other 4 girls, including Lilly and Hanako, would fade off into the distance. So that was kind of interesting that I noticed. Now the second act focuses on Hisao and his inability to cope with his new situation. I mean, he's just been suddenly thrust into this world of disability without warning, and he's got a lot of prejudices and a lot of preconceived notions about people with disabilities. I mean, if you remember and recall from most of Act 1 and part of Acts 2, that he doesn't know how to deal with the situations and to cope with conversations with these girls and everything without drawing attention to the disability that they have. He's trying to see past what's wrong with them, but not actually seeing them for who they are. And I mean, it's about him learning to let go of his past, letting go of his preconceived notions and prejudices against these types of conditions. I mean, a disabled person is just like any other person. All they need is love, they need respect, they need admiration, they need a friend. They don't need to be looked down upon. They don't need to be catered to. I mean, most people, at least from my experience, who have had some disabilities, they take pride in what they've been able to accomplish with their disability. And they don't want you to demean anything that they have done by taking pity on them and trying to help them when they never really needed your help in the first place. And this is something that Hisao has to get over. And he has to learn to accept Lilly for who she is, despite her being blind, and to realize that she doesn't need to depend on him to grow in this relationship that's budding. And I think her leaving for Scotland for a couple months, or is it a couple weeks, I don't remember, but her leaving is just the type of thing that galvanized Hisao, at least for the temporary term, to really evaluate his position in Yamaku and what is really important to him. And he realizes that Lilly is what's most important to him, and he wants a relationship with her. And he's finally starting to break through that barrier of seeing not just the disability, but the person, and he begins to fall in love with Lilly. So we get to Act 3, where they consummate the relationship, and they begin to grow as a couple. However, they never really fully open up to each other. They just stagnate. I mean, sure, they're closer, they're kind of now sex buddies now, but nothing has really changed. He's still in his safe little bubble. They still do the same things they do day in and day out. It's like how they were at the beginning of Act 1 and the beginning of Act 2. Nothing has ultimately progressed, and this has serious repercussions for both of them starting in Act 4. So moving ahead in Act 4, we find that Hisao has finally gotten over his issues with, Lilly's disability, her blindness, and is loving her for who she is. And he is happy and enjoying the new life he has with her and the friendship with Hanako. But we realize Hisao has not really grown as a person and gotten out of his little bubble of safety. He has not come to grips with his own particular arrhythmia. I mean, he is content to just stay where he is and not really move forward with his life and live with his condition and continue to have Lilly support him as he is trying to lounge around through life. I mean, he's not really supporting himself, let alone her. And so he's content to just let the world carry on while he's just enjoying the current present, while Lily's thinking about the future. I mean, the outside world encroaches in hard and fast when Lily's past comes to just offer her a future that Hisa has yet to give her. I mean, her parents are like, yes, you can complete your journey of becoming an English school teacher here with us and complete your education. She has a future there. Hisao, he's just happy with the status quo. What does Hisao have to offer her besides, his love and the occasional, sex time? There's nothing there that he has initiated on his own to show her that he will be there for her, that he will support her. And I think she realized that so she had to take the position in Scotland, and this jolted Hisao out of his little reverie. And he needed to take a drastic action, a drastic change needed to occur for him to convince her to stay, and that's exactly what happened. So all said and done, this was a very well done story, and although it was kind of full of cliches, and some of it seemed a little bit forced, funny enough, I still think that this was well written, and I can see a lot of personal relationship experiences injected into this story by whoever wrote the Lily's Path. So, and the reason why I say that is because this particular story with Lily kind of hit home with me. I mean, sans the arrhythmia and the blindness, but just the general how the relationship played out and how he almost lost her and went into long distance relationship. It was very much following in a similar path or vein to one of my own personal experiences with another girl in my life. And so as a result, I felt very deeply attached to this particular story, and it hit a really deep chord with me. And for that, I think this game is going to stick with me a long time after I've played it. So just bravo on doing a well done story between Lily and Hisao here. Now, granted, I'll probably play some of the other girls' paths. Rin, Imi, Hanako, Shizune. I don't know, maybe Misha has a path. I have no idea. But right now, I think I'm satisfied with the path I chose with Lily, and I'm happy with how it ended. So for that, I give this game 2 thumbs up. Now normally, I usually have some sort of analysis, either challenge or puzzles or just something I can rate the game by, but it just doesn't seem right in this particular instance, and so I'm just going to leave that part out. And I'm just going to say I really enjoyed myself. It was a lot better than what I was expecting it to be, and I hope y'all enjoyed the ride with me. So comments, suggestions for other play series, thoughts, just put it all down below, and I'll try my best to respond to each and every one of you. But did this make you want to try and play it for yourself? I mean, what did you think? Just put your thoughts down below. And just remember, everybody has a story, and everybody needs love. Not pity, not help unless they ask for it, but they need support, and they need to know that you are there for them, and that you will love them unconditionally no matter what. So, you don't do it just for yourself, you do it for them, you do it for the two of you. And I think in the end, if everybody did that, this world would probably be a much better place. And if that's the last lingering moral that this game has to offer, then I think that is a great moral indeed. So on to the next play series. See y'all later.